بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Within Surah Al-Kahf, chapter 18, the cave, a specific chapter, a special chapter in the Quran that the Prophet highly encouraged for us to connect with on a weekly basis every Friday if possible. And we ask Allah to make it possible and to facilitate that practice for all of us. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. Within the surah, twice Allah mentions the phrase Inna ladina amanu wa amilu salihat. Now Allah tells us at the end of Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Surah 56, فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم إنه لقرآن كريم. Allah swears by the placement of the stars, and then Allah mentions that indeed the Quran is noble, indeed the Quran is honorable, is generous, is kareem. One reflection we can take from that is that just like we see the stars in the sky, that's comparable to the verses, the ayat within the Quran itself. So when we first look up at the sky, we see a jumble of stars. We don't necessarily see patterns, but we see this beautiful scene in front of us. But then over time, we start to notice different constellations. We may learn more about different constellations and then look for them and notice others, so on and so forth. The same applies to the Quran. So at first glance, a person may see a bunch of verses in the Quran, but then over time, they start to see patterns and they start to see different constellations as they're consistent in deepening their relationship with Allah's book. And we ask Allah to help all of us to try our best in regards to doing so. So the fact that Allah mentions this twice within this surah, as opposed to say once, like in many other surahs, in Surah Al-Asr, Allah mentions it once. In Surah At-Teen, the fig, Allah mentions it once. In Surah Al-Inshiqaq, Allah mentions it once. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. But in this surah, Allah mentions it twice, right? One time towards the middle of the surah, and then another time all the way towards the end. The first of these two references, in the first of these two, Allah says, Inna ladina amanu wa amilu salihat. There's no doubt for those who believe and do good deeds. For those who believe and live their faith. They're inspired by their faith to go and actually do good deeds, to help other people, to go and help other people in general. Just do good, live your faith. Inna ladina amanu wa amilu salihat. There's no doubt those who believe and do good deeds. Allah says for them, Inna la nudi'u ajra man ahsana amala. Right? Allah is reminding us that if we do good, Allah is not going to lose track of that good that we try to do. Inna la nudi'u ajra man ahsana amala. The reward for those who do good is not lost. The effort that you put in for Allah, when you try to do something with ihsan for Allah, Allah is telling us and reminding us, you're going to get good in return. You produced good, therefore you're going to receive good. هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان. Is there any reward for ihsan other than ihsan? As Allah tells us in Surah Al-Rahman. This is the first of the two. In the second of the two, Allah says there's no doubt those who believe and do good deeds, كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا. Right? They are definitely going to end up in the best part of paradise. If we look at these two different verses, they're both good without question. But the first one refers to who? Right? Ashabul Yamin. People, they do good. They do good. But then the second of the two refers to those who are from among the Sabiqun. Going back to Surah Al-Waqi'ah once again. They're at the forefront of doing good. They don't just do good here and there. They don't just pass the class, although that's good. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةِ فَقَدْ فَازَ. Right? If a person can manage to avoid hellfire entirely and they end up in paradise, that is ultimate success, without question. But then Allah tells us of another category of people who they go above and beyond. It's not just about passing the class, but they aim for that A+, they aim for that A, they aim for that 100 as best they can. That's the quality of effort and intention that they have and that they put in. We ask Allah to make us people who connect with the Quran, who reflect on the Quran. We ask Allah to make us from among those who both believe and do good deeds. If a person, if they have one but not the other, then in reality, if you get 1 out of 2 on a test, then ultimately you fail. So if there's iman, but then there are no good deeds, something is lacking. And if a person is doing good deeds, but then there's no iman, or if there's the wrong intention, that's also an issue. So we ask Allah to help us to try our best as it relates to both of these categories. We ask Allah to help all of us with our iman, with our faith, and we ask Allah to help all of us as it relates to trying our best to do good deeds during the limited time that we have on this earth. We ask Allah to accept our efforts. We ask Allah to forgive our mistakes. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil